A homeless teenager with raw artistic talent, grit and a handmade tattoo gun. What began as survival is now ceremony, rooted in ancestry and respect. I'm Penny Lane and In the Driver's Seat starts now. Shane Coley is more than a tattooist. He is a father, a storyteller and a healer. With international acclaim, his art honours tradition. He will not tattoo just anybody. Every piece is sacred, a rite of passage. His designs are lived, not worn, and his waitlist is longer than a Rolling Stones encore. Shane Coley, welcome to In the Driver's Seat.
Thank you, Penny.
Now, you were a young teenager with a handmade tattoo gun, inking friends at parties. Did you ever imagine that those rough sketches would grow into something so sacred?
No, not at the time. It wasn't something that I was planning. I didn't plan to be a tattoo artist. It just sort of fell onto my path and I continued on with it. So, yeah, at the time, no.
And was tattooing, even back then, a little bit about survival, or could you see that it was your calling?
Yeah, I guess well, it was a very different industry back then. It wasn't as prominent as it is now. It was a bit more street, kind of gang, underworld style lifestyle. So yeah, it's grown into something different now. So yeah.
Do you ever look back at any of those tattoos and wish you could go back and touch them up and know how far you've come?
Well, kind of. But you know, at the same time, that was the time then. That was the story for that person then. And even with some of my own, I look back and I'm like, well, you know, that probably wasn't done as well as it could have been. But that was the time. That's the story then. And you know, you don't really go back into your diary and rewrite that day because it doesn't look any good anymore. So yeah.
Very true. Yeah. And you left home really young. What was that like for you? Yeah, I
was kicked out of home when I was around 15, 16. So yeah, a bit thrown out there. Kind of didn't really know what to do. Was living on the streets. Had to become very independent. You know, straight away, had to be street smart, had to, you know, grow up pretty quickly, yeah. Was
there any moments that you thought it might break you?
Oh yeah, there were times that things looked hopeless, you know. It didn't look like I was going to be able to survive. There were some pretty dangerous times, and yeah, I did question how I was going to survive in those days. So, yeah.
And your tattooing's taken you all over the world.
Yeah.
How has working with different cultures and different kinds of tattoos, how's that shaped your work?
I think it shaped my work more in a way of understanding where certain concepts come from, why people would get tattooed, the rite of passage in different cultures, and the understanding of symbols and patterns that have been held sacred for so many years, for thousands of years sometimes, you know. So there's a reason why those same patterns are used over and over. I guess, yeah, and immersing myself into different cultures has taught me a deeper understanding with tattoo culture, with tattoo traditions.
And when did it start becoming a ceremony for you rather than just a tattoo?
I started seeing, so I was just tattooing as you normally would, and over time I started seeing something happening with my clients, an energetic shift or a healing. You know, some of them, it was evident at the time something was happening with them, or they'd come back and explain that their lives had shifted, or something had been unblocked and they're able to, you know, move forward in life. And I started seeing something else was going on there, and that it should be treated that way, that we bring a little bit more respect and ceremony into it, and you know, really anchor those intentions that people are bringing into a pivotal time in their lives. So, yeah.
What's the reason most people get tattooed, do you think? Is it usually a big milestone in their lives?
Yeah, milestones, new beginnings, marking a moment, yeah, pivotal time, a time of change. A lot of people are marking a transition from, say, an old way of how they were travelling through life into a new direction.
Yeah.
It could be marking a moment in life that is shifting, that's changing for them, for the better usually. Sometimes it's memorial.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why people get them, but it is usually a transformation moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, your work, that's really rooted in Māori and Celtic traditions. For those who don't know, can you explain how sacred the Maori tomoko is, and it's how protected it is, and how you don't just practice those on anybody?
So, with tamoko and, in particular the facial tattoos, are considered very sacred because each marking, each shape, each symbol does represent something, and it represents part of an ancient story. And that so you need to understand what those patterns mean, what they represent, and how they can be put together to create a particular story for that person. So it represents their genealogy, where they come from, and their ancestors. So it's important to, that's anyone that's doing that needs to know the history and the background and be taught the right ways to apply it.
Yeah, who taught you?
I had, this was way back when the tamoko was just starting to come back into a revival. And so we were tattooing, but there was still not a lot of information revived. And I was tattooing, and I had two carvers from the local iwi come to me and talk to me about, they didn't have a tamoko artist, they didn't have a tattooist of their own, so they were asking me, would I be their tamoko artist, and they were going to teach me the meanings and the stories and the kōrero behind all the patterns and designs, because they were the carvers, and the carvers had maintained and kept those stories and the meanings. So at the time it was, that's where the information was really coming from, through the carvers. And so, of course, it was an honour to be asked that, and the story began there.
Yeah, fascinating. It really is. Now, you're very strict on who you tattoo. I know that you only tattooed my hand because my son is Māori. And how important do you think those boundaries are?
Yeah, I think it's important because, if anyone's just out there getting it, you're actually utilising designs and patterns that hold energy and hold certain frequencies. And so if you're putting those onto people that aren't that aren't connected to those energies and those frequencies, it can not really align.
Yes.
So again, the person that's applying them needs to understand what they're applying. It's a language, really. It's a form of communication. So if someone's putting it on without any knowledge, they could be putting anything on there, and then it becomes misunderstood, and it can become disrespectful as well. So it's just honouring something that's been passed down for a long, long time, and keeping it pure in a way.
Yeah, it's really ethical the way that you do that. I think it's really impressive. So tell me a little bit about, or tell the viewers, I know because I've had one of the ceremonies and it changed my life. Tell me a little bit about how the ceremonies go for people.
It's everyone's different.
Yeah.
I kind of have a base format that I would use for most sessions. And these are just for individual sessions. You know, I also have a form where it's a longer, more immersive experience. But generally, I have a format that I go by that is you know, involving honouring the ancestors, honouring the space we're in, honouring that person, honouring the intentions that that person is bringing into the tattoo, into the experience. And I will curate you know, invocations and blessings around that person and their story as well, so it becomes more personal for them. And so you're really spelling in what the tattoo represents, what energies it's going to hold, because once it's on the person, it's imprinted with those energies and those intentions, and so it's continuing to share that information with that person and help them on their way as well.
It's really profound. Now, you have a lot of high-profile, confidential clients that fly you all over the world to do this. And I know your wait list is really long, it's probably longer than a Medicare's hip replacement. Do you ever take emergencies at your Gold Coast or your Melbourne studios?
Do I take?
Can people get in quite quickly if they need to?
Yeah, you know, I always make sure that I still have a bit of time for a bit of a gap. You know, I don't solidly book myself out where I'm just running to the ground. I need space as well to recuperate and just honour my own space, honour my own time as well. And so, yeah, it can, depending on the time of the year, I can work things out, I can fit people in or move things around that I may be doing in my life. So, yeah.
And just recently you wrote a book. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, the Alchemy of Tattooing. It's really a book that I've kind of spent years and years gathering information and gathering my experiences and what I've learnt through my travels and through sitting with elders and shamans and knowledge keepers of tattooing of different cultures. And you know, over those years I took notes, wrote them down, and then gathered them into, like, I had piles and piles of papers, and then one day I was like, okay, let's get this into a book and share this information. So yeah, it's about energy, the energy of tattoos, ceremony. I go on to all sorts of levels of the alchemy, really, the alchemy of tattooing. Yeah.
And where can people get hold of this book?
It's available on Amazon. You can also get it through my website, ancestortattoo.com. But if you just search it up, it should come up on search engines anyway. So
brilliant. I can't believe we're out of time. I've got one last quick question for you. After all these years and such a successful career, how do you gauge success, Shane?
The shifts in other people, the people that I've worked on or with. That makes me feel happy. That makes me feel like my purpose is being fulfilled, kind of thing. So that's sort of success for me. Yeah.
Very selfless. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today. In the driver's seat, Shane Coley.
Thank you.
In the driver's seat is brought to you by the Perfect Cosmetics Company. This is Tika, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Tika. We'll have more in just a few minutes.